For the Salford City Reds at one end of the ground, I can't believe they will have travelled all the way from Texas for this game. They've come from Stoke-on-Trent, from Southampton, from Salford, from Doncaster, and a big commitment from the Doncaster fans, hoping to see their side getting this game underway, achieve what they haven't done in their 57-year history, and that's lift a bit of silverware. But they are up against it, of course, underdogs against the National League One leaders. But if there is a warning for the Salford City Reds, it is that they have been beaten already this season in the Northern Rail competition by a Division 2 side. That was Oldham in the qualifying stages, so Doncaster can draw on that. They can also draw on the fact that in the earlier stages of this season, Ellery Hanley's side pushed the Celtic Crusaders very close, only going down to them by 8 points. But crucial for Doncaster early doors, Phil, that they keep Salford at bay.
Underdogs need to start well, and you need to do that by building the confidence. They do the little things right. Is a dangerous kick by Salford. Oh, error. Ball in the hands of Paul White. He's going for the corner.
Oh, and White has gone without it. Colton it was with the mistake, and it's back to 6. So a succession of errors there. First from Doncaster, then from Salford. A relief that for Doncaster, but perhaps only momentarily, because this early on gives Salford excellent field position. And Malcolm Alker, Myler, Turner, almost through the loose forward, trying to get the ball away. Jordan Turner couldn't do so. Big charge from Sidlow. Sidlow is held just short. 3 tackles gone. Doncaster already camped on their own try line. They need to keep Salford at bay here. Salford with men on the outside, and one of them is the fullback Fitzpatrick, and he will get the first try of the game. Oh, a cruel start for the Doncaster side. An error in the first set. The ball handed over to Salford City Reds, and the pressure eventually telling. And Carl Fitzpatrick restored to the side after a bit of shaky form, gets his 11th try of the season, and gives the Salford City Reds, the favourites, the perfect start to this game.
Well, that's the way to start a match. The power from the start has really set the platform for Carl Fitzpatrick. They were simple and they were ruthless in that early set of possession. They got downfield, and then the quality of the kick really is what caused so many problems. On the back of that here, the ball's tapped back, they have continued possession, and although Doncaster do remarkably well to defend the line for 1 or 2 players, this is a wonderfully executed backline shot. Players running as options for the ball carrier, too much doubt in the mind of the defenders, and a good finish by the fullback. Ball held out cleanly in front of him. Nice delayed pass by Robbie Paul, and Fitzpatrick just gets to the line.
John Wilshire with this conversion attempt, already landed 35 this season for the Reds. This one suits his round the corner style perfectly. So just what Doncaster probably dreaded, that Salford would have an early opportunity and capitalise on it.
Absolutely. What they can't do is give the Salford team some field position, because there's lots of players that can hurt them. Paul White, Carl Fitzpatrick, Robin Myler, they can all score tries from either end of the pitch.
Tackles down.
So Doncaster with a warning that you can't afford to give chances away like that, and ironically their captain Peter Green profiled in the match programme saying that a key element for them was to cut out the errors early on, to play a 100% game, completion and discipline, and they've come up with the error early on and they've paid the price for it. And it's Salford coming forward again with Sidlow, big Adam Sidlow, the former Widnes man, making easy yards. And here's his front row partner Craig Stapleton, and Stapleton just over the halfway line.
Here's the mistake, wasn't it? It was a fantastic kick really, wasn't it? Bouncing awkwardly in no man's land. And Doncaster will be relieved to get possession on with their hands on the ball, 4 minutes on the clock gone, and 6 points behind.
Now here's Wayne Retty coming in off his wing to get an early touch of the ball.
You'd like to think this Doncaster side just need to play up, keep hold of the ball for this set of 6, try and force the error down this, because as you quite rightly were saying, it's been raining, it's a lush pitch, the jumpers are going to be really wet, so the Doncaster players really need to try and look to force the error off this big physical Salford side.
Lush, it looks as though they're intending to graze a herd of Frisians on this pitch. It's really, really deep, and Scott Naylor in the Salford camp saying before the game that It's the sort of surface that can lead to cramp. It's so draining on the field now. I think the penalty goes against Doncaster for taking Paul White. It was out as he went for that ball.
Yeah, Andrea Bauer, number 3 here in the white jersey, just comes up, collides with the man in the air. White denied an opportunity to catch it cleanly. And that's the reason why Ron Lawton has awarded a penalty for Salford. You know, you talked about the length of the grass. Probably of more importance than I think significance is the length of the playing field. This is 12 metres shorter than a full-size pitch, and it means that the game will go end-to-end far easier and create more try-scoring opportunities.
Good offload from Sidlow and Fitzpatrick on his shoulder. Carl Fitzpatrick has really come back strongly. He was dropped after the Whitehaven defeat by Sean McRae, and he's got his game back together. He's got his place back in the side, and he's recaptured his form.
All players get dropped at some point in their career, Bill, but it's how you come back, your strength of character and your mental toughness, and Carl Fitzpatrick has definitely got that.
Littler plays the ball on the last tackle. Robbie Paul stabs the kick in, and the fullback Sean Leaf is there to gather that ball.
When you get tired, when you have to not only defend but you also have to fret, and the amount of anxiety that Salford are able to create with their play at the moment. Look, with such variety, whether they've got the ball, whether they're kicking the ball, it's basically going to tire this Doncaster team.
Good support for the Salford City Reds and making themselves heard early on here. They're certainly outnumbering the Dons fans by 3-1, I'd imagine. Corey Laurie doing well to get that ball away to Briggs, and he's tackled just inside his own half. That's the 5th tackle. Needs to be a good kick, and White backtracking. That's going to sit up in the in-goal area. There's no ball skipping away. That kick from Luke Gale just grinding to a halt. And now here comes Gardner. Matt Gardner across the field and swatting aside the first couple of defenders. Brother Ady on the score sheet for St Helens last night at Harlequins. Matt Gardner looking to follow that today. Salford in possession, 3 tackles gone just outside their own 40. Here's Myler. Sidlow now comes looking for some defenders to run at.
And too many of the White defenders are falling off the table. Physically not strong enough at the moment. Look, even when a man's tackled, he's going 1 or 2 metres in collision towards the try line.
It was Alka who played the ball. Myler puts the kick in, but back goes Colton and does well to gather that ball and then sets Leaf away. So they dealt with that well.
Nice enterprise by Doncaster, and they will have to play. Look, sometimes when you get to a final, 5 or 10 minutes into the match, you start to breathe heavily. I think that's sometimes the pre-match nerves, and with some of the Doncasters new to this occasion and experience, they have to push on here now through that initial pain barrier.
There is the Dons coach, Ellery Hanley, and they can take inspiration from his achievements in the game, that's for sure. Retty plays the ball. Doncaster just enjoying a bit of sustained possession at the moment, and they need a good kick on the end of it, and that'll give them a perk. 5th tackle. And Briggs hoists that one. That's a high one, and Gardner bags of time position himself underneath that one.
Under no pressure there, Bill. The Doncaster defenders didn't react to that kick. He's under no pressure. He's got all the time in the world to catch that, figure out where he's going to run.
Benson with the tackle for the Dons. Stapleton. 3 of them there from Doncaster to put him to ground. Alka now. Robbie Paul run every honour in the game, but the Northern Rail is one that so far eluded Robbie Paul. He can add that one to his list of successes today. He's hoping so. It's his kick that's fielded by Sean Leaf. A good chase, and those Salford fans really making themselves heard.
Well, they have Doncaster in a lot of trouble at the moment. They've been able to play quicker in the opening 10 minutes, more powerfully. They've been error-free almost, and now the kicking game is starting to pay. Look, Doncaster's struggling to get back. They've gone wide early.
Luisi is tackled. That's Chris Buttery with the run for the Dons. And now off goes the former New Zealand Warriors hooker. Well, loose forward, I think, in those days. Corey Laurie played 4 games for the Warriors last season before coming over to England. And the kick from Luke Gale. White has time to run that back. That is dangerous, but fortunately for the Dons, the chase is good, but we've seen before what Paul White can do.
He's very dangerous with the ball in hand, but the way that Salford are playing, they're really sapping the forwards energy from the Doncaster side. They've got no go forward. They're really leaving up to the outside backs in Sean Leaf, Colton, Wayne Retty to get in and try and get them out of trouble.
Oh, great hands, sets Wilshere away down this right-hand side. Luisi struggling to get back at him, and Wilshere eventually is brought to ground by Sean Leaf's tackle. But he just ghosted outside Luisi there, did Wilshere. And now here comes Salford again on the other side of the field. They cut back infield with Luke Adamson. Adamson is tackled. The Dons desperately hanging on, trying to slow him down. They get the penalty. There was a hand in there from Andreas Bauer, I think it was. Interference, says Ron Lawton.
Well, Doncaster just hoping, I think, that Salford will kick at goal.
They're
that isn't a decision.
No, Littler it is, coming strongly and stopped just a couple of metres away from the line. Again, Bauer with the tackle. Alka, Myler now. Oh, Turner juggled with it, Myler get it back. And they could be in here. Wilshere just short of the try line. Wilshere struggling to play that ball, the Dons all over him. Myler this time using his footwork, coming back across the field. Corey Laurie clatters him to the ground. Alka, if they can survive this, it'll be a great achievement for the Dons. Sidlow is brought down, that's 4 tackles gone. Alka fires the ball up, Stapleton I think it is who's in. And they couldn't survive it. And Craig Stapleton on hand to take that pass, and again Doncaster unable to match the firepower of this Salford City Red side, and Craig Stapleton gets try number 7 for him this season.
Well, at times we've watched Salford this year and I think come away a little disappointed. You cannot make that comment on their opening part of this game. Wonderful break here, good hands to get the ball to Wilshere, and Doncaster do remarkably well to deny a Salford score at this point in the game. They then recover and withstand 1 or 2 more tackles before conceding a penalty for the interference, but finally that pressure pays off with Stapleton coming short onto a pass from Alka, timing the run well, putting himself in between the defender and the post and crashing over for the second score.
Craig Stapleton signed from Cronulla Sharks and decided he'd still come over and play for the Reds despite their relegation last season, and has had a good season for them. So has John Wilshere with the boot since his return to the side after injury. His second success, and Salford already 12 points to 0 up against second division Doncaster here in this Northern Rail Cup final.
There were signs then leading up to that try that the Doncaster side are really starting to struggle for fitness. 4 of them that went onto the blind side then, only marking 1 defender, 1 attacker, and they really look out on the feet. There doesn't seem to be as much talk, but Elliot Hanley's trying to send down the message. Come on, boys, let's get back into this game.
They really haven't had a sniff of that. It's been virtually one-way traffic so far.
If you think of the great sporting upsets, perhaps Sheffield beating Wigan 10 years ago in the Challenge Cup final, Wimbledon defeating Liverpool in the FA Cup final 20 years ago, those sides particularly got off to a good start. The underdog's confidence is obviously teetering a little bit on the balance at the beginning of the match, and you need a positive opening to the game. That hasn't been the case for Doncaster, and it's a basic matter of survival for the next few minutes.
Fitzpatrick, great offload to Robbie Paul. He is tackled just inside that Dons half, and they're looking threatening again with quick hands, finding Jordan Turner. Turner eventually tackled by Corey Laurie, and he is taking an age to get off the tackle man. Ron Lawton being pretty generous there as Robbie Paul puts the kick in, putting Colton under pressure. Well, under no great pressure, and then the penalty against Littler as Colton was still airborne at that time. So that is a relief for Dons. First penalty of the game.
But look where they've had to receive it, so close to their own line. Well, it doesn't make much difference, does it? By the time they start this set, they'll still only be 25 metres from their own try line. And the biggest difficulty they've had is making metres here in possession. They're reliant on outside backs so early in the game. That's a sign, really, that your opponents are too strong for you in the middle of the field.
The Dons were in pretty confident mood going into this game, having beaten Workington convincingly, 40 points to 2 last time out, scored 7 tries. Their defence held firm, didn't concede one, only a penalty. And I think they've had back-to-back 40-plus scores, so they were in good heart, but this is a very different prospect.
And they are very confident. It's the same 17 that took the pick at Batley when they come up with that victory against them to get to the final. But you can't write them off, Bill. The way that they've been playing, they've not started off so strong the first 15 minutes, but I'm sure they'll come good under the guidance of Briggs and Gale.
Gardner, ready there as soon as he'd gathered that ball. Myler, and here's Fitzpatrick. Forward screen the Don supporters at that end of the ground. And they really are looking to run this Don side around, aren't they?
Very impressive opening from Salford. They will not offer an opportunity, no handling errors, simplicity, good offload there, but they continue that roll forward down the middle of the field.
And a trundling, charging run from Sidlow. Oh, Fitzpatrick, a juggle from him, a pass to Myler, a try for the Salford City Reds. And the try is awarded. And Richie Myler gets try number 15 of the season, but take your hat off to big Adam Sidlow, this big, raw prop forward who they signed from Widnes. He had a spell at Workington as well, and it was his charging run and a great pass as well, which set the whole thing up, and a bit of juggling from Fitzpatrick on the way. And that is another try for the Salford City Reds, and it's looking ominous for Dons now.
Well, the Doncaster side just seem unable, don't they, to get back into position or either be strong enough really in this central position. So many of the white jerseys still running back in retreat to the referee by the time that Salford come forward. First it's Stapleton, who we've already identified before the game, one of the strongest players in this competition. He's able to offload, but again, wonderful support play. We've seen what Leeds and St Helens have done in Super League this year. Salforders are showing us in their own competition, they've also got players who are there when needed in support to come up with the 4 points.
And it was Myler who came up with those 4 points. He's won consecutive Player of the Month awards in the National Leagues earlier this season. He's been a bit quiet by his own standards in recent weeks. And Wilshire with the conversion attempt. And Salford already looking very comfortable, 18 points to 0 up. And the Doncaster supporters are a bit subdued, as well they might be. It was vital for them that they stayed in the hunt early on, and they're already trailing by 18 points to 0.
Salford are just out muscling them in the middle of the pitch. They can't handle anything that Salford are throwing at them in the middle. Stapleton, Sidlow, too big and too strong, finding the front and getting the offloads away.
Ellery Hanley making a change already, bringing Mark Castle on in his pack. Maybe try to beef things up a little bit.
Well, he's hoping maybe that Salford maybe have a lapse in concentration, lower their sights, scoring at more than a point a minute.
In fact, he's brought Castle and Jason Hart, the 2 front rowers, off the bench. So changes for the Dons. They need that scoreline to change pretty quickly as well. The last time these two sides met, ominously for Doncaster, was in 2003 in League One, and Salford won that one 72-0. They've won the last 6 against Doncaster. So no wonder those Salford City Reds supporters are sounding very cocky as they occupy that end of the Bloomfield Road ground.
And look at the urgency that they have, the energy that they've got, because they've respected the ball, Salford. They flood forward in numbers and they're really troubling this Doncaster side. And I say, when Doncaster have the ball, there's no push through, there's nobody following his teammate and really trying to give him the opportunity to get a one-on-one with the defence.
Well, we saw a big scoreline in this Northern Rail Cup final last season when Widnes went to town against Whitehaven. 54-6 the final score that day, and 30 points to 0 at half-time it was in favour of the Widnes Vikings.
I always remember Brian Noble making a comment that you can't win a final in the first half, but you can lose one. And I think really that's the danger here for Doncaster, that if the score goes more than 18 points, the contest gets too hard for them. Salford really control their own destiny now for the remainder of this game. An hour to go, just how good can they be for 80 minutes?
Yeah, I suppose the big risk for them is taking their foot off the gas and allowing Doncaster even a sniff of their own try line.
And not just that, the freedom that they're playing with, the offloads, and and way that they're enjoying themselves, that can hurt them as well if they're not controlled in what they do.
Oh, Leaf, fortunately for him, has gone. The ball went backwards, then he went backwards.
Do you know, it was a much better kick from Myler. Earlier this season, we've seen him kick the ball a very much over the top sort of bomb kick, which comes down very simply for the fullback. This wasn't one of those. He's obviously made an improvement and modification to his kicking technique, and it's paid off because Leaf couldn't deal with it. Okay, went backwards, but Littler there was committed to the tackle, and he's now one possession back.
Salford went back to the top of National League One last weekend against Halifax, but that was a bit of a nail-biting affair in the end. So they can't be complacent. It's Salford though in another great attacking position with Alker and Robbie Paul. Paul, little burst of acceleration from him, and then the support from Luke Adamson. Adamson plays the ball, Robbie Paul beats the first defender, pops the ball up for Littler, and Littler, is he over that try line? He's just short, I think. And he's lost the ball. The Dons have come up with it. And in fact, Ron Lawton has decided that was such a schmozzle, we'll have a scrum down.
Well, there's no advantage, was there, really, for Doncaster with possession so close to their own line. Great effort, really, though, by Doncaster to deny Littler. He thought, listen, I've worked so hard here to force this goal line dropout. I want to capitalise from it. But he lost possession going for the line. Wasn't stripped. But again, I think Doncaster are having recurring nightmares. Whenever they get possession, it tends to be coming away 10 metres from their own line with 3 or 4 red jerseys all over the man with the ball.
Just going back to that Halifax game last week, I think Salford were 24-0 up in that game, and they allowed Halifax to come back at them. And in the end, had to be thankful for a last-minute try for their victory. So they're not infallible. Well, we've seen that this season, and by their own admission at times, Salford haven't been consistently good.
That's the best quarter of rugby they've played this year from the several matches I've seen of them.
Here's Corey Laurie, this very experienced hooker, 28 years old New Zealander. Briggs puts the kick in. That's a good one. Tight to the touchline. Fitzpatrick will have to run it back, but the chase maybe not as enthusiastic as it could have been, but they're there to meet Fitzpatrick. Now Littler across the field, then runs into the tackle of Mark Castle. Former Wakefield Academy player Mark Castle. There's the experienced Paul Heighton playing that ball, the Welsh international. Big tackle that from Zeb Luisi. Heighton again.
Can
5
Doncaster
tackles
get
gone.
any pressure here on the kicker?
Robbie Paul, well, they did get a bit of pressure, that ball ricocheting, and maybe not getting well, certainly not getting the distance that Salford were hoping. So that's a positive move for Doncaster, a positive result for the Dons.
They needed to show some enthusiasm in defence. So far, they've just been in scatter mode and survival mode, as Phil said, but that will give them some confidence.
A cry of, that was a high tackle from the Dons supporters, the referee deciding it was on his shoulder. 4 tackles gone. Doncaster on that 40-metre line. Briggs. Craig Lawton now. Lawton, that's the 5th tackle. Now Kyle Briggs, left-footed kick, again aiming for Gardner's wing. Gardner again, solid underneath it. He's tackled by Buttery, and now Wilshire.
Sometimes there's not a lot you can do. If your opponents are faultless, which Salford are here, taking the kicks, controlling possession, you just got to hang on in there. Wonderful kick, catch in the air. Salford have the advantage of being able to bring on a player like Philip Luluai. You see that, number 17. Again, it's just power on power for the Reds.
Here comes Alker. Oof, the ball nearly squirming away from his grasp. Myler puts the kick over the top, and that again just drags in this lush turf, and Leaf is able to pick it up and run it back.
Richie Myler's kicking game has been enhanced by the way that his team are going forward. He's under no pressure when he comes to kick the ball. He's what you call in rugby league. He's kicking on the front foot. There's no pressure, and the kick chase is exceptional from Salford.
Luisi, 3 tackles gone for the Dons, and they're still only on their own 20-metre line. Corey Laurie. Laurie is tackled. He looks, gets to his feet very slowly, Corey Laurie. That's bad news for the Dons if he's got a knock. They're trying to keep this ball in the field of play, they do, but Andreas Bauer takes the tackle. That's the 5th. Now Briggs. It needs to be a good kick from Briggs. And it is a good kick. That's a great kick because it's turned Fitzpatrick around, given the chasers time to get there. Now they need a good chase.
If you use a tennis analogy, they're able to get the ball back, aren't they, from the baseline, and making Salford to come from their own baseline of this court.
But Gardner has got away from 2 of them. Oh, he's lost the ball, and Retty will pick it up. Now this is an opportunity for Wayne Retty. Wilshire with the tackle, and the Dons supporters urging their side on. This is the best position they've been in. Buttery takes the tackle, plays the ball. Retty now. Here's Luke Gale. Gale going on his own. He's lost possession. Not on, says the referee. And Corey Laurie was trying to salvage the situation. The coach wondering whether that was the best option.
Well, it's taken them 25 minutes to get close to the opponent's line, and I think they just got overexcited. Luke Gale could see Laurie coming in support, but it's 1,000,000 to 1, that sort of offload. Fitzpatrick had Laurie covered anyway.
What you can't do in a game like this is start to look at the scoreboard. Salford are scoring and scoring at will. You just need to get back to the basic game plan that you set out with and control the controllables, which is the ball and your defence.
Let's go down to the sidelines and get some injury news from Ben Pro.
Craig Stapleton off the field for the Salford City Reds, Bill. It's a neck problem, just some soft tissue damage, say the Salford medical team. There's been some ice applied, and they're confident that Craig Stapleton can take his place back in the Salford 13 later in the game.
Well, Philip Luluai coming up with the clanger, and the hair's not so clever either.
Well, Doncaster have done well. They've stemmed the bleeding. They've not conceded any more points, and they're starting to get some possession in their opponent's half. Young Kyle Wood here coming on, looking to invigorate his teammates.
Luisi. Buttery now. Tackled by Myler. Wayne Retty. Here is Kyle Wood. Wood finds Corey Laurie. Laurie will take him on. Laurie does well to offload that to Peter Green. Green, the long-serving captain. And this is a good bait from Briggs. Briggs still able to look for support. He's still looking for support. How cheeky was that? The ball is popped up for Mark Castle, and Mark Castle trying to use his strength. Almost able to roll over, and Luluai redeeming himself with that tackle. Inevitably it was Alka as well, and then the pass is a wild one, and they're all the way back, and the ball's gone forward, and it's going to be picked up surely by Salford. It's back to 1, he says. Well, that is a big call from referee Ron Lawton.
A great play by Cowwood. I think he's pinched the ball from Adamson. The ball did go backwards.
It went forwards.
It went backwards, Bill. The ball has gone backwards there. We'll look at it at half-time. It went backwards.
Oh, that's a great offload from Laurie, and Bauer was his shoulder, and the Dons supporters are urging them on, and it could be in here. It's Kyle Wood, and they're offside at Doncaster. Salford and Doncaster get the penalty.
Kyle Wood's injected some pace into this game, whether he's got the ball on the go or he's gone up from acting half. His enthusiasm is feeding through to his teammates.
They take the tap right on the line. Peter Green. This is the chance that they needed. Bauer will try and force his way through. Nothing for him there, but he's right on that try line. They're still camped on that Salford City Reds try line. Here's Carl Briggs. Briggs, the pass out for Wood. Wood finds Luisi. Luisi, good ball for Buttery. Buttery's got Retty outside him. If he can find him, he can't. Good defence that time from Salford. Wayne Retty fires the pass out to Luke Gale. Gale back on the inside. Oh, and he was held there. That's going to be another penalty. Gale it was who was taken out. Zeb Luisi was trying to get the pass to him, and Alka couldn't help himself.
Well, they've shown there's still life in the Dons. They've got something to fight for here. Wood with a long ball now to Briggs.
Briggs pops that ball up to Craig Lawton. Lawton is tackled, plays that ball. Oh, and then the captains have been called
decision
over.
here. It has to be our thing. In less than 3 minutes, we've had 3 consecutive penalties against Salford.
It's been great for 15 minutes. Yeah, I appreciate that. But sort it out for me.
Well, Ron Lawton, the police officer, laying down the law there. And suddenly Salford, who have been coasting in this game, are under all sorts of pressure. You'd think they were the side that was trailing by 18 points to nil. It's Doncaster who've lost that ball, and then they squander possession. They were in a great position. They'd had back-to-back-to-back sets, and then they come up with an error like that.
And you can't be too critical of either Briggs or Gale, the 2, 6 and 7 who are playing for Doncaster. Both have been prepared to take the line on, get their arms free whenever possible, but Alca's attention and defence there has forced the ball free, and probably just the reason why Malcolm Alca is named as the captain of this Salford side, because of the things like that he produces for his team.
Hold it, lads. Hold. Go.
So Salford survive that frenzied spell of pressure from the Dons.
Go.
And they still lead by 18 points to nil. Now here comes big Phil Luluai
Now clear.
with that shock of red hair. It's almost orange, in fact. He looks like one of those Dutch supporters from Euro 2008. But here they come.
He's really bought into the Salford Reds.
Did you say shock or shocker?
Go.
Alca, Myler, little chip over the top here, time to size that up, but so too did fullback Sean Leaf, and a little wrestling match, Leaf and Myler, and it was Leaf that won it, and Retty picks it up, and Doncaster just certainly seem to have found a little bit more. They've found a little bit of confidence.
They've got that more energy because they've controlled the ball. They've put Salford under a lot of pressure where they've been giving some penalties away, showing that Salford are on the back foot. The way that the forwards are taking the ball up, the backs are taking the ball, they're taking it forward so much stronger than they were in the first 25 minutes.
But they are 18-0 down. Ian Sibbett is on. Luke Adamson has gone off. And then Briggs puts the kick in. And Briggs is flattened off the ball. Play on, says the referee. And Paul White it is who watches that one go into touch. Go on.
It's not Briggs who's actually been taken. It's I think it's his centre partner.
It's Bauer, yeah.
Andreas Bauer who's taken. The referee, I think, will penalise Salford here.
I don't think he will. Not unless he gets a word in the ear.
Well, he's listening and waiting for one.
Well, he's back on his feet.
Penalty, it's coming through. There's a delay on his hearing aid.
And in fact, Stuart Littler was instantly protesting his innocence there, wasn't he?
I think if the man who kicked the ball had been taken out, the penalty would have been given where the ball had bounced. But as it's one of his teammates, that's the reason why the penalty here now, where the incident occurred.
There's the incident. Well, from that, Doncaster in a great position again, and Alex Benton, former Hull Academy player, Sean McRae knows all about him, plays that ball, and then a charge from Mike Haley. Haley, who was playing for the Leeds Rhinos a couple of weeks ago against the Castleford Tigers, then returned on loan to Doncaster, and here he is playing in the Northern Rail Cup final. Here's Luisi. Salford keeping an eye on that ball as Dons did the run around. They didn't fall for it. Benson, 4 tackles gone, right in front of those posts, 4 tackles gone. Kyle Wood, the ball outside and little chip ahead, and too strong it was from Dean Colton. Not a bad idea.
No, they're prepared to back themselves, have a chance. They've thrown the ball around, use good width on this field. But as Coulton kicks ahead, it's too strong. Great idea.
They showed good ball movement in that previous set of 6, and they've settled down into this game. Obviously, the first 15 minutes were dreadful for them. 18 points scored against them. The Salford machine just chugging along and keep picking up the points, but they've settled into the game. And often when you're an underdog, you're just there to enjoy the day and see what happens, because realistically, you've got nothing to lose.
Here's Malcolm Alca, Philip Luluai. Luluai, great run from him. Corey Laurie with the tackle. Ulker again.
5 and a half, get up, 3.
5 tackles gone. The Salford supporters gone a bit quiet in the last 10 minutes or so as Doncaster enjoyed that purple patch. Oh, and a goalkeeping effort from Chris Buttery there. That one almost squirmed away from him.
They are the type of saves that they need to make at their own end of the field, and then work out to see if they can gain some metres. It tends to be a one-man carry though, doesn't it, from Doncaster at this part of the field.
That's a good shot from Malcolm Ulker.
Salford working hard to keep the Dons deep in their own territory, and 4 tackles have gone and they're still inside their own 40. Corey Laurie now.
Well, if ever there's a ground designed for a 40-20 kick, this is it. It's as I said, 12 metres shorter than your average field.
Well, the kick is downfield and it's over the heads of Fitzpatrick and White. That's the fullback, Carl Fitzpatrick, who gets there first and then runs it back, and a good tackle on the follow-up by Carl Briggs. Now off goes Paul White.
Clear the ropes. Go.
Ian Sibbett.
3, now get up, 3.
Salford again making solid progress up the middle of the field. Paul Heighton now, 31 years old. He's in his testimonial year with the Salford City Reds. Plenty of events going on for him over the summer months. She's hoping that Salford supporters will be supporting. He's been a loyal supporter of the club. Luluai gets to his feet to play the ball. Then Myler, outside of his boot, puts the kick in, and it's a good one. And it comes up very conveniently for Corey Laurie off the shoulder of Jordan Turner. And Laurie is able to get out of the first tackle and make good progress.
Well, can Doncaster find a second effort here now? A push on a push really to try and find a score before half-time.
Corey Laurie is crucial to this Don side, and I don't think he's 100% fit. He's down on his haunches in back play, and he was shaking his head then.
He's fit, Bill, but he's been really targeted by the Salford forwards. He's come up already with 25 tackles in the first half, which is a tremendous effort from him, just as he tries to get back up. But it's not about the big play for Doncaster, it's about the short little passes that will really entice the Salford defence in. Don't look for the big play, just try and play your sets out.
Well, 3 minutes to go till half-time. Oh, and then the pass from Carl Briggs into the arms of Turner. And I was just going to say, if the Dons could get something on the scoreboard before half-time, that'd be a big boost for them. But it won't come that way. Littler tackled on the halfway line, struggling to get to his feet. Ulker, and here's Ian Sibbett. Sibbett turning, looking for a float. Malcolm Ulker, his younger brother Mel is over in Australia at the moment with the Great Britain Community Lions. They've just set off on their tour. Busy time in Australia, lots of tours down there. Cambridge University over there, the Great Britain Community Lions, the Student World Cup, the women over there, and there's still the World Cup to come later in the year. Here it's Salford on the attack. Myler just carving the defence apart there, and Richie Myler with the try, and he made that look so elegantly easy. His second of the game already, and the Dons, after a real burst of resistance and some hope, just dropped off there. They just seemed to back off for a moment, and that's all that Richie Myler needed to get try number 16 of the season.
Doncaster, we thought, we were looking to try and find a score before half-time. When they were in attacking position, they kept the ball alive, but Turner intercepted well to take possession for the Salford team. And then Myler, look, he just senses a gap, some lazy defenders who can't quite fill the hole that's left, and he steps back inside. Does this particularly well, doesn't it? Drifts is always going to come back on the inside, steps and then again accelerates outwards, puts himself between the players and has the pace to cross. Important score for them. It was almost a 20-minute period in which they'd failed to score, and Doncaster had worked their way back into the match, but all of a sudden they're going to go in for a drink at half-time, far more content.
Wilshire with 3 from 3 already this afternoon, and this should continue his success rate. It does. Continues Salford City Reds' success rate here. They're 24 points to 0 up with half-time approaching, and they've seen off that Doncaster uprising.
a lot of the tries that man Richie Myler scored this year, real individual efforts. And what he's very good at, he stands really wide from the ruck. He starts going out, drifting out as though he's going to go outwards, and then he comes up with a step because he's got the defence chasing sideways.
He's clever enough to spot Corey Laurie for that try as well, Tez. You pointed out he's done 26, 27 tackles, saw that he was struggling. Fatigue makes cowards of us all when we play rugby league, and he just couldn't close that gap.
So Salford heading for the half-time break in a very comfortable position in this Northern Rail Cup final. Got off to the perfect start, and they've really put Doncaster to the sword as the hooter sounds. And Luke Gale out there on the field for Ellery Hanley's side, urging his teammates to head for the dressing room in a hurry. I'm sure Ellery Hanley will want them in there in a hurry to try and get things back on track, because their prospects of derailing Salford City Reds in this Northern Rail Cup final have hit the buffers at the moment. They're trailing at half-time at Doncaster by 24 points to 0. Ellery Hanley will be hoping that his side can do what Halifax did and hit Salford with 3 quick tries early in this second half. They have pulled off a giant killing against Salford before of Doncaster. That was in February 1986 when they won a Challenge Cup tie, 18-12. Salford were Division 1, Doncaster were Division 2. Kevin Parkhouse scored 2 tries for the Dons, earned them a trip to Leeds. It's that sort of inspiration they need now.
The difference with that game and the one today, though, that will have been played more in winter. Rain and sleet no doubt coming down. On dry conditions, the stronger, faster, more skillful side usually prevail.
I'm told by an authoritative voice, Ian Proctor, that it was played in a Tattersfield mud bath, in actual fact.
We're quite the opposite here today. Wonderful conditions, aren't they? If you've got skill to show, this is the best stage to do it on.
Well, the Dons need to show their skills now because they trail 24-0, and we said at the start of the first half they needed a good start. They need exactly this now, and they're giving it some air, and they're giving it straight to Richie Myler. It was the pass from Kyle Wood. Myler was on his inside. Thank you very much indeed. The Reds have the ball back, and now what can they do with it? It's with Philip Luluai.
You talk about inspiration, Bill, and half-time obviously the players go into the sheds and they have a bit of a breather, but they look to the coach for some direction, and that man who's in the screen, Ellery Hanley, he would have said to his players, forget what's happened in the first half, just let's go out there, let's try and play like we did for 10 minutes and see what we can come up with.
Well, Fitzpatrick's playing like he did early on and setting up a try for Ian Sibbett, and Salford capitalising on that, another Doncaster error, giving them possession, and yet Ron Lawton just wants to have a check on a bit of obstruction back in the build-up to that try. So video ref Ray Tennant will have a look at that. Ian Sibbett thinks he's got the try, only his 5th of the season.
Well, nice movement to the ball, isn't it? Robbie Paul just dropping one player off, then dropping backwards. But is Corey Laurie impeded from making a tackle?
It's Paul Hyton who's in your screen, number 14. He's got his back to the player. Well,
he's very other option, has he? He can't see the Doncaster players behind him. He doesn't go to obstruct him.
Yeah, he's not even looked, does he? And it's up to Corey Laurie really to push off and not really commit to that. So I'd say try.
Well, video ref Ray Tennant, I don't think has hung around with that one. No. Quickly making his mind up. And Ian Sibbett, the try scorer, and Carl Fitzpatrick, the creator there, and it was very well created as well.
If there's any threat that Salford would slacken off in the second 40, the opening minute of this match has confirmed that they're going to press even harder to score more points. Wonderful little backline play. Fitzpatrick, who, as we say, has taken a while to recover really from that Achilles injury, which is such a serious one for any player, but one with such speed and evasion. But again, times his run perfectly to the line, puts himself between, shows the ball, and then the acceleration, and then Sibbitt's there in support. Trying to the post, easy conversion.
John Wilshire, from bang in front of the posts, continues his 100% record, and Salford continue their journey towards Northern Rail Cup glory here at Bloomfield Road.
Well, the coach, I think, of course, he has his eyes on today, but the whole club have their eyes, of course, on the future. On the future, if it is to be in Super League, they have less than 10 games remaining in 2008 in preparation for the Super League return, which would be obviously the start of next year. And you have to start to build some habits and develop some players. The remainder of this game, I think, will give us some sort of indication of just how good Salford are.
Salford in possession then, and in the lead by 30 points to 0 against second division Doncaster. Heighton. The Don supporters appealing for obstruction there as well. Jordan Turner was the guilty man in their eyes. Alka puts the kick in. Straight into the hands of Wayne Retty. Then they're going to need something sensational now at Doncaster. Let's get the half-time news anyway from the sidelines with Ben.
That try from Ian Sibbett will have disappointed Ellery Hanley, the Doncaster coach. One of the things he was talking to his charges about at the break was to tighten the inside defence. He also wanted to encourage them to make the tackles stick and to stop the offloads. As for Sean McRae, concentration, certainly the watchword in the Salford dressing room. He was delighted with those 24 points scored in the first half, but most pleased with the defence when Doncaster had that pressure for 10 minutes and Salford were able to soak that up. He expects another 10 minutes of Doncaster pressure in this second period, and he wants his charges to be equal to that.
Buttery getting the ball away, but again they've given the ball back to the opposition. Again, I think it's Myler defending out wide there, who's taken charge of the ball as Buttery offloaded.
Richard Myler clearly demonstrated that he can also defend. We've seen him score tries, we've seen him kick the ball. The third and probably most important facet of his game will be his defence. He's been up to whatever they've thrown at him here today.
And here's Robbie Paul. Stefan Ratchford is on, and Ratchford, well, there's not a lot of Stefan Ratchford. He's a pretty wiry figure, but he's got deceptive strength out there as the teenager.
And what he is, Bill, he's a fantastic kicker of the ball. Very high, very accurate.
Well, Myler again showing great footwork, and the ball eventually coming to Kyle Wood. Big relief for him. He thought it had got away from him, and if it had done, I think Jordan Turner was on his shoulder. Retty gets the ball away. Good work from the fullback, Sean Leaf. There's Myler's kick, and that was a bit of a let-off. Wayne Retty is down, plays the ball, and he's got a bang on the head, I think, as the winger. London-born Wayne Retty, who's another Leeds Academy product, and in fact he's down on all fours now, and the Dons get the penalty.
Some good go forward from Doncaster. Outside back, getting some quick play of the ball. Sean Leaf, Wayne Retty. It's a little bit injured in practice in this tackle here with Richard Myler. Is it a finger perhaps in the eye? Then Haley gets the penalty. Interference by Salford. Here's a chance for the Doncaster side. Can they come up with their first score?
Kyle Wood. Gale, and now Briggs. And Corey Laurie. Good step from him to beat the first defender. Clap of the hands from Kyle Briggs, organising things. Here's Andreas Bauer. Bauer is tackled. Sean Leaf. Briggs across the field, charging run back inside from Mike Haley. Haley is tackled in the shadow of those posts. Can Doncaster get something on the scoreboard here? Luke Gale. Gale pops the ball up and Zeb Luisi goes without it. It was an inviting pass from Luke Gale. And Zeb Luisi, the former junior Kiwi and Harlequin centre, couldn't take that ball.
Well, it's not surprising that we've seen Doncaster's confidence slowly eroded in this match. When Salford have had the ball, they've been accurate, they've been dangerous, and they've been clinical. But defensively as well, they've offered no opportunity for Doncaster. Luluai now just pounding forward, and it's been almost impossible for Doncaster to make a break.
Oh, and the pass from Robbie Paul was an inviting one for Kyle Briggs, and Briggs must have thought, oh, interception, my chance, and he couldn't take it.
The referee's given a knock-on from Doncaster here. I don't know whether this pass was forward.
It was almost a pass to Kyle Briggs, wasn't it?
Dan Marino, American football.
Too good for an interception.
Lock in, lads, lock in, Corey. Lock in.
Nothing going well for the Doncaster side. Trailing 30 points to 0 here, and Ratchford trying to get Myler away again. We've seen Myler get a hat-trick on Sky Sports already this season. He'll fancy his chances of another one.
And you know, the next goal for this Salford side will be, as well as trying to score some more points, not let Doncaster score. They want to try and win this Northern Rail Cup, and the defence has leaked some points over recent weeks, but this is where they want to really talk. You can see them in defence when they're talking, saying get numbers in, and the likes of Robbie Paul, he knows what's required.
Alka, Robbie Paul back on the inside to Sibbett. Sibbett motoring up the middle of the field. Back to fitness, Ian Sibbett, the former Warrington and Melbourne Storm man. Robbie Paul now. Robbie Paul stabs the kick in. White. Oh, he had ages there to gather that ball and plonk it down. Check the offside, says Ron Lawton, the referee. Ray Tennant, the video ref, will do that, no doubt, very sharply indeed.
Paul White's just at the bottom of your screen there. Aye, yep, he's onside. The back foot on the white line, and Paul White's front foot isn't on that. He's just going to check the grounding as well.
No doubt about that from Paul White. Gets his 21st try of the season. And a great kick it was from Robbie Paul as well. And the try is awarded, and another blow struck by the Salford City Reds to extend their lead here. Paul White having his best season for tries. I think 10 in a season was the personal best before this season for Paul White. Well, he's up to 21 now, putting him among the top scorers in the country. In fact, level with A.D. Gardner. He's got 21 tries, or it went to 21 tries last night. Well, Paul White's up to 21 now.
Well, I'm not sure how much longer Robbie Paul will play rugby league, but players like Ratchford and Myler will learn a lot from him here the remainder of this season. He goes to the line, he commits the defenders towards him, and then he puts the kick in nice and soft into the in-goal area. He does that better than most players, and he does it so well that it's almost impossible for White not to score.
Paul White with 21 tries, and Eddie Gardner 21 in Super League. Barrow's James Nixon has got 23 tries. He's, I think, the leading try scorer in the country at the moment. But Paul White not far behind with that try. Now Wilshire to continue his 100% goal-kicking record today. He's done that from the touchline. And rubbing salt in the wounds, John Wilshire with that kick.
This is where Robbie Paul is so dangerous, isn't it? When he gets the ball, he takes it to the line, he pulls up the defenders so they can't drop back, and obviously Cottle then, you see him, he had to come up in case Robbie went himself. Nice little neat kick, and that's why Paul White didn't have any other players around him.
Discipline when we get there.
A worrying sign for Doncaster now. Craig Stapleton, the man with the ball, he's back on the pitch.
Okay, lads, leave it.
But Corey
Keep
Laurie,
coming, lads, keep coming.
as ever, leading the defence for the Dons there, putting his shoulder into the tackle. Mike Haley there with him as well, but they're just struggling to keep these Reds at bay now. Talk about a Red menace. They are charging forward now. They play the ball on the halfway line. It's big Adam Sidlow. That's the fifth tackle. Myler chasing his own kick. Sean Leaf, and Leaf clattered by Bannister. And the Don supporters on that far side of the ground defiantly chanting their support for the side. Peter Green, he was so hopeful that they could break their long wait for silverware today. Long association Peter Green has had with the club. His dad Ray, of course, also long-term involved with this Dons side. And the kick from Briggs. Fielded by Fitzpatrick, and running that ball back.
Stand square.
Salford's turn with Ratchford here now, coming out of the own half of the field, and you've got to admire Doncaster here. They're sticking to this task.
And you look at Doncaster as well, Phil, and a lot of these guys have never played in the final, may never do again in the future. So as players, they're 36 points down now. They've got 30 minutes to go. They've really got to work for each other now and try and go out and try and score at some points against this Salford side.
Myler puts the kick in. We haven't, despite what you were saying earlier on about the dimensions of this field, we haven't even seen a 40-20 attempt yet.
I think, Bill, because every time that Salford have had the ball, they've actually got over the 40-metre line. They haven't needed to put a 40-20 in, but the dominance that they've had in the middle of the park has been the telling factor, I think. And Tezzy's right, Doncaster players need to play with some pride, and as I said in the first half, don't look at the scoreboard now, just try and get back to a little bit of basics and put a bit of pressure on the Salford side and see how good they are coming off their own line.
Doncaster trying to emulate the side of 2003 that won this National League Cup. It was called the Arriva Trains Cup that year. They beat Lee 36-19 at Rochdale in the final to take the trophy. That was in 2003. In 2008, they are on course for the record, and nobody has ever been nilled in this National League Cup final before. Can at least Doncaster avoid that humiliation? They can't with that kick. Swept up by Robbie Paul. Corey Laurie with the tackle on his fellow kiwi. Sibbett. Well, still plenty of commitment in the tackle there. Ian Sibbett, I think, felt that one. Just gets to his feet a little bit gingerly.
Salford trying to inject some speed now in the middle of the field, isn't it? There's Will Shaw. You saw White come in from the other side of the field. Outside backs with good feet and speed, getting around the centre part of the field.
I've noticed Robbie Paul and Richie Myler using the drop-off play a lot, coming across field, dropping a player back on the inside and trying to make those big fellas work and take some petrol out of their tanks.
Give him 10.
Kick downfield, and Dean Colton will run it back for the Dons. And this is their first ever final in their 57-year history, and it's turning out to be a pretty painful introduction to Cup final football. They've come a long way to get here on this Northern Rail journey. They've come via London, Gateshead, and arriving in Blackpool. And it's not been the most pleasant of journeys. Well, certainly this conclusion of it turning out to be that way. Really been put in their place by this Salford side. Briggs really hasn't had a chance to show the skills that have made him one of the much talked about players in the National League. Corey Laurie on the chase, and that's great commitment from Corey Laurie.
That play in itself just typifies where Salford have been tonight. Just a split second in front of their opponents, and that's all it takes in rugby league. Half a second is enough to be 6 points on the scoreboard, and all that has happened on several occasions, and all of a sudden it's a one-sided look to the match. But there hasn't been that much difference. Just they've been right on the job, Salford. Wherever they had to be there, they've been there well in time.
And the coach will be delighted with that. You can't ask for much more. And the kick from Myler, an inviting one for Littler to chase. Oh, and the fullback Sean Leaf gathering that at the second attempt. He had Littler breathing down his neck, and John Wilshire. And then the more good defence, great defence from Salford to earn the goal line dropouts.
Even when Salford are defending, they're still attacking. They get numbers in the tackle here. They don't let Scott Jones get any kind of body angle to get down and play that ball, and he's just forced behind the line.
Well, Doncaster, fifth in National League 2, turn their attention back to the National League 2 competition this week. They haven't got much time to prepare for their game against Swinton. Sedgley Park, Wednesday night. That is going to be a tough game as well. Backing up after this, it's a big ask, that is. They had to do it, in fact, after their semi-final when they'd beaten Batley. They had to play Gateshead a few days later, and they lost that one. Ratchford now. Turner, pass out wide to White. The defence is there to bring him down. Colton with the tackle. Turner, a little skip from the loose forward. The young player of the year at Salford last season, Jordan Turner. And he's had another good year this. Robbie Paul, well, he's really pulling them all out of his bag of tricks now and does get the ball away. And Sidlow, well, he's set up one try. I think he fancied his chances there. White will go in for his second, will he? He will. Despairing dive from Dean Colton, but nobody could get anywhere near Paul White. He gets his second, and Salford get another one. And now they are travelling first class towards Northern Rail Cup success. Paul White gets try number 22 of his season.
Well, we've seen some wonderful play here this weekend on Sky Sports with the Rugby League, but I haven't seen a better pass than the one that creates this try opportunity here. Okay, the defensive effort was there, and you have to admire Salford's commitment there. This game's already won, but they're tackling as if the game needs to be won, and they keep the ball alive. Robbie Paul does well here, doesn't he? Shows and goes, keeps the ball alive in the tackle, and then Sidlow, who's slow developing to be a nice and dangerous front row forward, again keeps the ball alive. This pass, bang. Now, not only does he find his man, but it's about 12 inches in front of the man, drifting towards the left, which is exactly where it needed to be, to invite White to run onto the ball, getting around his opponent. I tell you what, that is the pass of the season so far for me. Absolutely brilliant.
That's a big accolade, that is.
Brent went through a similar one in the Millennium Magic down where Leeds scored against Bradford, but that was brilliant play.
And that is another success from John Wilshere. When you've got a kicker like that in your side, well, you can't go far wrong. He's got a 100% record in this game. He's kicked 7 from 7, and they lead by 42 points to 0.
Let's hope that he doesn't kick like that for Papua New Guinea in the World Cup. Especially not in a game that's played in Townsville, I think, at the end of October.
Barry, you were saying about Paul Myler and Richie Myler. Robbie Paul and Richie Myler. What they're doing is they're really tiring this big set of forwards out for Doncaster. They're turning the ball back inside. And as you can see, Salford are getting the second phase rugby league because the lads aren't controlling them. Doncaster players are not controlling them, and they're really just going forward, playing on the front foot. And as all good teams do, they'll come up with the points.
And the Salford players are having fun, aren't they? They're trying things. You saw Sidlow offload the ball almost round his back, and those are things you dream of when you're a player. You've got them in your armoury, but normally in the discipline of the game you can't use them. But they're having fun today, Salford.
It's not much fun for the Dons. They trail by 42 points to 0. Those conversions from John Wilshere really are rubbing salt in the wounds, and he has had a terrific run of goal kicking. He kicked 6 from 6 against the Celtic Crusaders in the semi-final, and he's gone one better today with 7 from 7, and they haven't finished yet. Yes, let's hope he doesn't get so many opportunities in Townsville come October.
The Doncaster players as well, Bill, are hoping that he's finished for today.
Well, it has been a good year for the town of Doncaster, of course, with their football team, the Rovers, winning promotion to the Championship with a memorable performance at Wembley a few months ago.
And let's be right, Bill, Doncaster have done incredibly well to get here today. They're a division lower. Craig Harrison and his board of directors and Ellery Hanley should take a lot of heart from just getting to the final. But of course, when you get here, you want to play your part, make sure you do yourself justice and give your fans something to shout about, and I think that's what they'll do.
Kick downfield from Kyle Wood, straight into the arms of Carl Fitzpatrick. Well, National League action returns to Sky Sports next Thursday, 7:30, Sky Sports 3, Halifax among those in contention for the top spot. Well, they were top until Salford knocked them off last weekend. They'll be taking on Lee Centurions, Neil Kelly's new team. I'm looking forward to seeing that game at the Shea. Robbie Paul scampering run down the middle. White, needed a good tackle from Sean Leaf. It's Dean Colton, I beg your pardon, with the tackle. But Robbie Paul really is rolling back the years here. And that time, that's the first pass, I think, that's gone astray for Doncaster. Well, there haven't been many of them that have gone astray here.
Sean McRae probably wishes his side could play like this every hour of every game. You blow your opponents away in the first 60 minutes, it doesn't probably matter too much what happens in the last 20. Doncaster scrambled to recover when the line's been broken is admirable, but just not quite at the same pace.
It was interesting to see leading up to that play as well, Phil, that Robbie Paul actually said to Paul White, come in field, said, as soon as the quick play the ball's on, I'm going.
Two tackles gone in this set of 6. And into the last quarter of the game. And Doncaster just now will look to get upfield and maybe at least crack this Salford City Reds defence, at least get some points on the board here, get a try. But the Reds don't look at the mood to really concede anything here. Don's down at this end of the field.
Well, look at that as well. 4 tackles, they've made 11 metres. That shows how much this Salford defence is up for it.
But Andreas Bauer now trying to get away. The ball back inside to Kyle Wood. It was forwards.
Let him have it. Come on, Ronnie.
Well, Salford won't let them have it. They won't let them have a thing, will they, in this game? Determined to keep them scoreless. Ratchford just about gets back, pushes the pass.
He does a great job, Ratchford, there. He makes it so difficult for Andreas Bauer to get that pass away. That's the reason it went forward. I'm pretty sure that the Doncaster fans will be happy if Doncaster managed to get a score today. They'll know that they've been outplayed and outclassed in nearly every department of this game.
Jordan Turner brought down by Kyle Briggs, plays the ball quickly. The Dons doing well to get back into some defensive shape and to stop Stuart Littler's progress. Littler is tackled by Corey Laurie. Well, a bit of confusion there, and Sidlow sinks to his knees before giving the pass. Now Stephen Ratchford. Ratchford tackled by Peter Green. As Jason Hart with the tackle, I beg your pardon. But still Salford come forward. 4 tackles gone. Robbie Paul in possession. Plays the ball to Myler. Myler pops that one up. That's the 5th tackle. And they're in here for a try with Sidlow, I think it is, and Sidlow has got that ball down. And Robbie Paul again, the creator of that. A more straightforward try it was, but it was Sidlow who's earned that. Created one with a great storming run in the first half. And he's got his name on the score sheet in the second half. Right under the posts as well. And that's only his 2nd try of the season for Adam Sidlow.
I think you're starting to see the effect of superior strength. The referee holds his hand up. It's the last tackle. It's not one that Doncaster can stand any longer. They've got close to the line. They're on the line, sliding away. Sidlow, who has been strong, also developing a nice offload in his game. This time his side just come hard and straight onto possession, keep hold of it, and then get it onto the floor.
And Wiltshire bang in front of the posts. Surely another 2 points from him. Just drifts that one over into the wasteland at that end of the ground. Of course, this stadium still to be completed at the far end, but Salford City Reds have just about finished off a very, very comprehensive job on this Doncaster side.
I know I've mentioned Craig Stapleton a few times today, but just watch at the speed he gets up and plays this ball. 3 Doncaster defenders just can't cope with it. Nobody's set, no goal line defence there. And Adam Sidlow be very grateful to his front row partner there.
Fitzpatrick makes that his right underneath his own posts and then serves the ball up for Craig Stapleton, and Stapleton offloads to Luluai. 48-0 Salford lead, and 50 very much on the cards here, and Doncaster desperate to avoid the humiliation of being nilled in this cup final. But of course Whitehaven suffered here, and it's Doncaster who are suffering now, and Robbie Paul will get a very well-deserved try. Robbie Paul with the try, his first of the game, and he really has earned that. But it was a great run that set it up for him. It was Adamson on the charge and Robbie Paul in support, and he gets his 6th try of the season. He's won every domestic honour, but the Northern Rail Cup will be a new one to add to his collection.
Well, they could thank a rising star amongst the Salford side. Luke Adamson looked so powerful when he broke through this line. This is probably, in my opinion, the try of the game so far. Okay, Salford are a bit stronger than their opponents and they're starting to tell. But when Adamson broke clear here, I thought he almost had the pace to go the length. He bounces through 2 tackles, pushes them off, and just looks too strong. The aggression in the running but then the precision of the offload with a one-handed pass to Paul was perfect. And it's taken his team over the 50-point mark. Nice short pass there, first by Luluai, bouncing like a pinball through defenders, but with a presence of mind to know that there'd be some support somewhere. It was on his left and right. He went towards Paul. Paul crosses. Well, that was quality.
And another success for Wiltshire, 9th of the game, equaling Mick Nannin's record of 9 for the Widnes Vikings against Whitehaven last season. And I suspect that John Wiltshire might not have finished. And a smile from Robbie Paul, and a breather for Robbie Paul. Andy Murray, eat your hearts out. That was great class from Robbie Paul. And that strength from Philip Luluai.
But that's clever play as well. He's got the strength and aggression to go forward, but Philip Luluai attracted 2 defenders, and that's where the gap is, and that's what I always keep saying about the short ball. St Helens are so good at doing it, but the way that they go, they're fantastic, Salford. And here he is again.
I don't know about the short ball. I think I'd be tempted to go for the short kick-off at this point in the match. You keep kicking the ball down there. It's with monotonous regularity that the big Salford players can't afford. At least you have a chance of getting possession back.
But I think they just want to get the ball as far down the pitch as they can, because every time Salford get within 20-30 metres, they look like they're going to score.
Look at the scoreboard, try and get the ball.
Ratchford, big deep kick from him, and the fullback Colton is underneath that. It was Colton who was underneath it. And the Dons in possession. Well, it has been a painful afternoon for the players, and it's a painful afternoon for the travelling supporters as well, who came here in big numbers and in high hopes of hoping to see an end to the wait. And not good viewing for the mother-in-law of the Dons director of football, Carl Hall, Sheila, who was taken into hospital just before this game. She's supposed to be here supporting them this afternoon, but isn't well, and probably not feeling an awful lot better after this. But everybody, Carl and co, hoping you have a speedy recovery, Sheila. That was the message from the sideline for Dons before the game. This is going to take some recovering from for the Doncaster side as far as their National League 2 hopes go. Green is onside, says the referee Ronnie Lawton, and Corey Laurie will continue the attack, and he'll look for some support. He gets that support. Now they've got some numbers here. They have got numbers here. Can they get the ball in field? Oh, Retty couldn't take. He has taken the pass, and it'll be the turnover. It was on the last, and a little bit of impetuosity for Wayne Retty there. It soon evaporates. A bit of frustration, because that was probably the closest they've come there. Good work from Kyle Wood, but Wayne Retty just couldn't finish that off.
Well, he couldn't finish it off because look at the number of red jerseys that swarm around the man. Any Doncaster player in possession know that he's going to be attacked from all sides, and that's a great effort by Fitzpatrick. White was also there. They've made it impossible, absolutely impossible for Doncaster to score this afternoon.
54-0, and the Dons, as we mentioned earlier on, having to back up from this with a game against Swinton. But I wonder whether Swinton will suffer the backlash of this. A fired-up Doncaster side will be surely wanting to take it out on Paul Kidd's team.
And you know, if the licence application goes in Salford's favour, Doncaster have almost played against a Super League side here today, and they've displayed really some great quality. Myler now finding Adamson again. I think the development of players like Ratchford, Adamson, Turner, just to mention 3 of the youngsters out there, is really key to Salford's hopes for the next 3 years and beyond.
Meanwhile, there's one of the long servers, Malcolm Alker, in possession. Survivor of that Arriva Trains 2003 Cup success. Malcolm Alker, he's stuck with this Salford side. He did have opportunities to maybe progress his career. Bradford Bulls were interested in him at one point in his career, but he's stayed loyal to this Salford team. And it hasn't been probably the most rewarding of careers in terms of silverware, but he's going to taste silver, see some silverware, lift some silverware today and get a winner's medal.
And he's going to taste it as well, Bill.
But he probably will at some point.
What does silverware taste like?
Well, you must surely have sunk your teeth into a trophy or 2 over the years. By accident.
He sunk his teeth into a platter of food, Bill.
Hey. Frequently.
Doncaster get the penalty. And they have 9 minutes to try and get across the whitewash and avoid being the first side to be nilled in this National League Cup final since its inception. And Salford determined to keep him at bay. Peter Green is tackled about 5 metres out. Here's Kyle Wood now. Wood back on the inside to Mark Castle. Castle will play the ball. Laurie, Kyle Wood, on to Luke Gale. Gale to Carl Briggs, and Briggs trying to put his foot to the floor. The ball out wide, but it's gone forward, says the referee. And again they're denied.
Very, very impressive. That is all you can say about Salford. 54 points to 0, and will still not let their opponents get anywhere close to a score. Wonderful defence. I think they've saved the best performance of the year for this final. Wilshere just forces him over the sideline. They've had some bad luck, Doncaster, here today. Turned up and played their opponents on the worst possible day.
And Doncaster still looking to play with width on the ball, aren't they? They've got the players there in Kyle Briggs and Luke Gale who really are testing this Salford side. But you're right, Phil, the way that they're defending the try line, there's no way through for this Doncaster team at the minute.
And you always have more energy when you've got the lion's share of the ball. And every time Salford have had the ball, they've used it to good effect and made the most of the possession. I don't think Doncaster have done the same, sadly.
Sibbett, oh, Fitzpatrick was steaming up in support, and he's imploring Sibbett to give him the ball. The pass wouldn't come because Doncaster managed to wrap him up just at the crucial moment. That's the 5th tackle. And Alka, little dink over the top. And Wayne Retty looks up, and at the same time he took the pass, there's an army of Reds defenders there to greet him.
He looks up, he takes 4 steps, and there's a wall, 4 to 5 of them onside as well. That shows how eager they are. They're really struggling, Doncaster. Salford are really strong the first 3 steps as they give a penalty away.
So a relieving penalty for this Doncaster side. And again they'll come looking for their first points of the game. Just inside this Salford half. They've got 6 minutes to try and break their duck here. Mark Castle, former Wakefield Academy player, plays the ball, wants a Castleford Panthers as well. Luisi going nowhere. Littler very quickly on to close him down. Not a good pass, but scooped up by Chris Buttery. 3 tackles gone. Kyle Briggs, Luke Gale now. Gale, support from Jason Hart, but again they've lost possession and Jordan Turner picks it up. And that's been their flaw from early on, Doncaster. Not respecting possession, and here comes Salford looking to punish them again.
And every time they get their arm free, they feel that they've got to offload the ball, and really in positions that you can't get the ball away. Ratchford through.
Ratchford hoping that Fitzpatrick would be on the same wavelength, but he'd overrun the ball. The pass really wasn't strong enough, and that's another let-off for Doncaster. And Retty plays the ball, and Salford, as the sun comes out here in Blackpool, well, it's been a day that they'll enjoy, but Doncaster certainly won't have happy memories of their day out in Blackpool. Definitely not pleasure land for them. Here's Zeb Luisi, and the pass is forward, and White is away, and White will put his foot to the floor and get his hat-trick. And you cannot afford to give a flyer like Paul White possession like that. And they have done that and suffered the fate that so many have suffered this season. Paul White, who got 2 tries against Celtic in the semi-final, gets a hat-trick here. His first hat-trick of the season. And it's the first hat-trick scored by a player in this final as well.
And it's all smiles for Salford. Doncaster attempting to find a consolation try, keeping the ball alive to the best of their ability. But the unrelenting approach from Salford in defence. Visit Ratchford driving the man back, high, tips him up in the air, offloads it to nobody but Paul White. And Paul White's too quick there, isn't it? Not many players on this field will catch White when he's in front of them going for the line. In fact, probably none. Just arcs around, snakes towards the line, final score. Testing kick here now for John Wilshere.
Well, this for a record haul of goal-kicking successes in this cup final. Wilshere, again, just an elegant, lazy sweep of the boot. Another 2 points, 60 points to nil. And Salford and their supporters will be raising that Northern Rail Cup very shortly. And it's a very, very subdued Doncaster crowd, or many of them heading for the exits now. Probably going to take this out on some fairgrounds ride or stall somewhere. Luluai's gone without the ball, and Doncaster will get head and feet at a scrum, only 10 metres out. Well, that was a big hit, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic tackle, and I also think it hurt him. Andrew Sparrow got up and walked away, but it must have taken something out of him there to hit Luluai. Scrum opportunity, perhaps the best chance to score.
Samoan on Samoan there. And the ball's gone backwards, and Doncaster have again squandered possession, and Myler will try and get away. Now he's got Wilshere outside him, but he takes the tackle. He couldn't get the ball to Wilshere. He didn't have the legs to beat the cover, but Doncaster still trying to get back into their defensive line as Littler comes forward. Myler was taken out without the ball. No, he wasn't. It was forward, says the referee, from Littler.
Doncaster are still fighting hard. When Richie Myler made the break, there were 4 shirts that got back, and they're still trying to force that error. Sadly, that they're at the wrong end of the pitch. I think, and I'm positive, that if Doncaster get over the line, Doncaster will feel that they've done enough.
But there's time running out for them. Precious little chance of them achieving that. It's going to have to be something spectacular. Length of the field effort, heading for the last minute of the game.
It's been a real team effort today by this Salford side, the way that they've played, but Richie Myler, they keep pointing up at him, the Doncaster players, telling him to run at him. He's only missed 1 tackle the whole game, and the lads had a real good game today with the ball in hand.
Well, Sean McRae heading for another trophy. Of course, great success he enjoyed with St Helens, and now he's overseeing a Northern Rail Cup final success for his side. OK, maybe not on a par with the former glories he's enjoyed, but it'll mean a lot to those Salford supporters.
And he nearly even cracked a smile there, didn't he, Sean McRae? He'll be very happy, but what he'll be, they've scored a lot of points, obviously 60 points, but they've managed to nil this Doncaster side.
Salford in possession. Maybe they haven't finished yet. Maybe Paul White's got another one in his locker, trying to go outside. Dean Colton couldn't do that. Colton sticking to his task there on the last tackle. Maybe the last opportunity this is for this Salford side. Ratchford will take the tackle. The hooter will sound very shortly indeed. And Salford already celebrating an emphatic victory in this Northern Rail Cup final. Success for the Salford City Reds. Paul White leading the way with that hat-trick, and really as early as the 2nd minute of the game, when Carl Fitzpatrick opened the scoring for this Salford side, the writing was on the wall for Doncaster, because they were caught cold. Salford perfectly at home in a hothouse atmosphere like this, and they took the chances that came their way. It allowed them to settle, and Doncaster really never got a look in.
No, they didn't, Bill, and from minute 1 it was just so a professional 80 minutes of rugby league by the Salford side. They showed a lot of respect to the Doncaster side and the players, likes of Briggs and Gale, Benson in the forwards, along with Craig Lawton, but they really took it to them. They run a lot harder, they tackled, they got numbers in, and that guy Richie Myler really had a big influence on this game. Adam Sidlow we see as well, that's been growing in stature and even displaced Philip Luluai to the bench. That shows how well Adam Sidlow's been playing.
10 tries for Salford, 10 successful conversions out of 10 for the immaculate John Wilshere. And all that has contributed to this emphatic Salford City Reds victory. And it's just the first prize, I'm sure, that they'll be hoping for this season. The bigger goal for them is winning that Super League licence
You go back to that Doncaster side, they've got some young players. Corey Laurie's not one of those, but they've got some young British players who could in 5 years' time be stars in Super League. They've played poorly today, they've been outplayed, but it's what they do going away from here now and how hard they work for the next 12 months, 24 months to improve as individual players, which will determine just how high they go in the sport.
Well, the gold medals go to the Salford City Reds. Remember, last year the supporters were crying and tears were rolling down cheeks because they had been relegated from the Super League. They were in the National League and the struggle began to regain their place, and they will know, as I say, whether that struggle has been successful on the 22nd of July when the announcement is made whether they have got a licence for 2009 and beyond. But this is a moment that these players will all savour, there's no doubt about that. And Robbie Paul, Lance Todd Trophy winner at Wembley, you know, he's done it all as well, he's won everything. But Malcolm Alka, a real one-club man, and getting a little hug from his chairman there, John Wilkinson. And Heidi Mottram hands the trophy over, and Salford have won the Northern Rail Cup in 2008. It's a lovely moment for Malcolm Alka. He has nailed his colours to the Salford mast from the start of his career to the end, and just reward for that fella.
Yeah, he's certainly had his fair share of pain, hasn't he, throughout his career, so it's nice that he gets a moment of pleasure here in Blackpool in front of those supporters and with the rest of his team to share it along with. You know, that's a reward for somebody who's put probably 15 years dedication into his sport. You know, even before he got to Salford, he worked very hard, diligently. I think he's maximised his potential as a player, and he's worked very hard here today. You know, sometimes when you win by 60 points to nil, people think it's been an easy performance. But Salford have had to work very, very hard when they didn't have the ball at times to make sure that they could score when they got possession.
I think I'm right in saying that some of the former winners of this trophy have actually failed at the final hurdle and made it into Super League in the past. Salford will not hope that, or rather will hope that is not an omen for them.
No, you know, we've been here before, and the underdog has won on 2 or 3 occasions before arriving here today, and there was a feeling, wasn't there, as we arrived at the ground, that perhaps Doncaster could pull off an upset. But I think in the opening 45 seconds of this match, when the ball was kicked off, Salford went bang, bang, bang. Simple, one-man, strong, timed runs to make 50 or 60 metres, and then the kick downfield. You know, I think that the hopes of the Doncaster players and supporters were extinguished in the first 45 seconds.
Indeed so today.
Salford were just excellent on the day. They made the most of their opportunities and they looked dangerous every time they had the ball. And when they defended, they were so strong. They were far more physical and far superior in every area of the game. And Philip Lulai, Craig Stapleton, Adam Sidlaw, I know I always mention the front rows, but I believe that they decide who wins the games, and people like Paul White decide by how many.
I just wonder what Robbie Paul will be feeling now. As I say, he's been at Wembley, he's won a Lance Todd Trophy, scoring a hat-trick there. You know, you would say that this is small beer compared to that, but it's a trophy, it's a piece of silverware, it's another tick in the box, it's another little line on the CV, isn't it?
I'd probably guess that there's a sense of relief for Salford. When you are the favourites and you go to a cup final like this, there's a lot of pressure on you, a lot of expectation. When that final hoot has sounded and you have won, then you know, there's the feeling, well, thank goodness we weren't beaten. They'll obviously need to improve their performances the remainder of the league campaign, and I think again improve and step up if they do want to play in Super League next year. You know, there's very little time to prepare for potentially their next Super League game. They have 10 matches left this year perhaps, with the playoffs at the end of the year. That doesn't offer them a lot of time to improve as individuals. If you break that down in an athletic mindset, they really have to start to improve next week with the view to Super League next year.
Absolutely. As I say, this is the first step on the ladder for them. The 22nd of July is now the biggest date in 19 clubs' history, I know, when the decision is made as to who is in Super League next year. But scenes like this will help the Salford cause, surely.